But as a woman, you have to like not emasculate the man, especially a man who has the potential. He might not be the king right now and have that confidence, because especially in this world environment that we're in, you don't want to be the one that crushes the potential.
Like he's doing the things, but you don't want to crush it. Okay.
Right. If
I thought you meant like he might be able to do those things. I'm like, that's dangerous.
I mean, he's trying to do the things, and then you are emasculating
You're like, let me do it.
You're actually causing his development to go downward.
Beyond the perfect we discover, through our flaws we complete each other. Better than perfect we stay, through every fault we find our way.
All right, welcome back to the Better Than Perfect podcast, where every week we share with you how two imperfect people help each other grow. That's a nice fill there. Equals one better than perfect relationship.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got your back.
You got my back. That's what we need. So, yeah. So we're going to talk about today. Actually, I was thinking that we should actually call this how to keep a woman, but like in the sense of being a kept woman.
You're definitely going to get flack.
how a man can take care of his wife or take care of his woman.
That's going to be better. They're going to get to the 1950s reference again.
But some women want to be a kept woman. Like that's what they actually want.
But today they're never going to say that.
They're never going to say those words.
Even if they want that. So, don't turn off the people who even want that by using terminology that is going to trigger them.
So not Peter Pumpkin Eater had a wife and couldn't keep her.
No.
He put her in a pumpkin shell and there he kept her very well.
Yeah, no.
No, okay.
That's very old school as well. So
yeah, but no, we figured we'd talk about, because we had an episode where we talked about finances, financial abuse, right? A Reddit post on there, and then there were some clips. And one of the clips, I think I started off by saying a woman should know nothing about the finances of the house, and then people, they lost their shit as usual. And
because it was a clip, and they took it at face value. They didn't watch the full episode. But I do think we should do this as a kind of follow-up, because we didn't really talk about what you do though.
Right.
And so I can see where people are confused.
Yeah.
And that the woman in the comment section had a lot of fear. Right. And I understand where that came from. I don't have that, obviously, because I know how you've set, everything up. But I can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And some of these women, maybe they've even been through it or they've heard the scary stories. But at the end of the day, it's kind of similar to the men that have heard the scary stories and things like that. And I have a few things I want to say about it, because a lot of people, for the most part, were like calling you financially abusive, or like, oh, his poor wife, or like blah, 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 blah. So, I'll say my side, but I also think it's important for you to say your side and what you have done and why you said what you said, because we didn't, like I said, we didn't really fully cover that in the other episode even, but yeah. So.
Yeah. And I wanted to expand it out. That's why I said about the kept, but it's more like how to take care of a woman, because it is more than the financial. And I think if you look at the financial in isolation, that's where you have a problem, right? Is because if you understand the full scope of what you're doing as a man, what you're supposed to be doing as a man, and providing which is not just providing, it's not just collecting the paycheck or bringing home the paycheck, but understanding how you're sort of running your household or leading the relationship, then the financial piece fits into it's the only thing that makes sense in that case. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking in isolation, that's where I think people are like, oh, that's crazy. Because if you take what I'm suggesting from the financial aspect and put it into their existing relationships, that would look like financial abuse, if there is such a thing. It would look like a crazy thing. But if you're talking about the relationships that we're talking about in terms of a man actually stepping up and leading as a servant leadership in a relationship, then it that puzzle piece fits. So,
well, it's funny you said that, because one of the things I wrote down, because I went through the comments, is some women were saying that their husband doesn't even care / handle the finances, so she does it.
Right.
So I'm like, how is that not the same thing? Like,
oh yeah,
how is
yeah.
that not the same thing?
There you go.
That it's actually maybe worse because he doesn't even care.
Yeah.
And you're just doing it all.
Right.
And you think that's fine as a woman because you're in full control.
Right.
But he is giving you full control.
Right.
And he's not freaking out.
Right.
And like, again, this is not a black and white thing. I may sound like I'm talking about it in a black and white way.
Right.
It's a lot of like nuanced things, which I think we'll also talk about in this whole episode. But it's funny you said that because some of those comments, I was like, how are you mad about you saying it this way?
Right.
Which again, it was taken out of context because it was a clip.
Right.
But yet some of you women are doing all the work for your husband and he doesn't even care.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dang. I can't believe I missed that part of it when I was rebutting the thing. Cause I did rebut one of the women that was like, yeah, I take care of all the finances because my husband would just go spend the money on car parts. He doesn't even know how to pay a utility bill. And I, I had a response to that, but that he needed to step up and he needed to be the man. But in reality, actually, the more logical response is just, hey, you're literally
financially abusing him in your terms. If you think that's okay financial abuse,
you're doing it. Right.
You're like, don't worry your little head, husband.
Yeah.
Just don't look at the car parts. Like, I'll handle the finances.
Yeah.
You're doing the exact same thing to him. Yeah. Another woman wrote down, my husband has ADHD, and she said that they would be homeless and penniless in a year. I was like, you have ADHD.
Right.
You.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is I'm not even concerned about that in the least. So it's like their defense, not all of the women in the comments were saying this, but if you have this as your defense, you're actually, in my view of it, if you want to use the term financially abusive, more financially abusive, because you're not keeping him in the loop. You're not like, all right, Jeffrey, this is what we need to do. Mm-hmm. You need to, cut back on the car parts. You're like taking it all over so he can't even buy the car parts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're saying that your husband has ADHD. So if he handled it, then you wouldn't have any money. That's like so ridiculous in my mind. So now he really will never learn how to handle his finances.
He just,
And I guess I'll go into another point that I have on here.
Well, it's like they're, because one woman said, it's like you're saying, oh, don't worry your cute, pretty little head. Right. But then you're saying,
that's your husband.
Saying, don't worry your dumb, don't worry dumb.
You're right.
I got it.
Don't worry your dumb little head. You can't learn anything.
Go watch
that's
football
okay.
on the couch like I got.
Right.
Like, which.
It's hypocritical.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so my thing is too, another point that I'll bring up now because it kind of goes with it. A lot of these women talk about these men in a way where, like you said, they're dumb. Like they don't even know how to do this. They're literally saying he doesn't even know how to pay this bill.
Right.
But they're upset when you're like, oh, like, don't allow it to stress her out. I know how to pay bills.
Right.
I paid bills on my own before you came along.
Yeah.
You cannot take that knowledge away from me.
Right.
I will know how to do it.
Right.
If I, God forbid, had to. And I hope it never comes to that. But like, I know how to do it and I don't have to stress about it anymore. And that is a great place to be. But you're telling me that you're doing it and your husband doesn't even know.
Well,
you're not even educating him. And then there's women like, well, you can't, you have to tell her about the finances and all this stuff. Some of these women aren't telling their husband anything because they don't trust him. Ultimately, I trust you. And that's the difference. And again, I know that they don't understand this from a clip on the internet.
Right.
But go watch the full thing.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're seeing a clip of this right now, watch this full episode because there's a lot more to it than just 30 seconds or whatever, however long it was.
Well, the bill paying thing, I want to talk about that for a minute because you used to have to balance a checkbook and write the checks and then subtract from the account and keep a ledger.
My parents did that.
Sure. And that's fine. Then someone not understanding how to pay the bills. But literally, I can teach you how to pay the bills in 10 minutes.
You attach your bank account and then you hit pay.
Yeah, the email comes, you click pay bill. Right. Like it's not any kind of hard thing to learn. Mm-hmm. You don't need to learn how to pay bills anymore. It's just being responsible enough to do the paying of the bills. Right. Or maybe to budget. You could say to budget. Okay, sure. But
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, but what I'm saying is, and again, people should go back and watch all of our videos, not just because I'm trying to promote people watching our videos, but because I talk about how women should be on their own before they get in a relationship, and they should know how to do all these things on their own.
Right.
So then when a man comes along, she still has this knowledge that's never going to go away. And if you feel like you have to be in control of everything, even when you already know what to do, you're living in fear.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it is. Right. And that's what's causing you to want to control this. I don't feel that. I trust you. I know that you're going to handle that.
Yeah.
And I know that, God forbid, if I had to, or even if you were like one day like, hey, Nicole, can you pay this? Like, here's the stuff. I could do the things.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
like
a perfect example is what happened yesterday at our house. You're like, I was going to go for a nap, right? And you're like, you heard the gurgling noise and you're like, John, can you, I heard this thing. And you're like, oh, I could call someone. And I'm like, no, I didn't want to, it was definitely something I didn't want to deal with yesterday, but I had to deal with it because I'm the man. I'm going to.
But then you had a call when they were coming back, or the other company was coming, and then I know that there, and I handled that situation because I was like, the stuff all over the floor, I want your help with, and like, what should we do? Maybe you could have fixed it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Exactly. I'm like, I'm not going in there unless you tell me that you need help or something.
Yeah,
but. Because I know you got it handled.
Right.
But then when they showed up and you were like, I really have this call, and I was like, I don't want you to have to miss your call.
But I'm going to give you in that place, I'm going to give you instruction of what I need you to do.
Set it up.
Right. Yeah.
So that all I have to do is like the bare minimum.
Yeah. I'm going to give you instruction of what I need you to do, as opposed to being like, oh, you handle this.
Right.
Right. Could you handle it? For sure. You could. Right. But me as a man, because you're like, oh, yeah, go ahead and take your nap or whatever. I'll call them, which I appreciate. But I'm not going to do that because that's not how I operate. That's not my job is to actually handle the situation.
Right.
Right. And yeah, I have a call. I need some help. I ask for help on that specific instance. But it doesn't mean that you couldn't do the thing. It's just that
that's why I'm not offended by the comments or even the things that these people are saying, or even, how you explain something, because I know what I'm capable of.
Right.
And I know what you're capable of, and I trust you. And that's ultimately, I think, what a lot of this is with the women in the comments was fear, which causes them to want to control, and not having a man that they can trust. So I understand where they're coming from.
Right.
However, it just kind of perpetuates more of the fear. And then even when a woman finds a man she can trust and she wants to relinquish that control on those things, she's not going to, because now she's reading all these women being like, I don't want to be in the dark. I don't.
And it's ridiculous because it's like, okay, like you do the laundry in our house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do you ever be like, okay, John, just so you know, in case something happens to me, this is how I do the laundry, and this is how I sort it, and this is how we run the machine. You don't, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if something happens and I need to figure out how to do the laundry, okay, yeah, maybe it's going to take me a little bit to like Google it or figure it out or whatever. Yeah. But I'll figure it out, and you don't need to keep me updated every single week on how you do the laundry or how you clean the house or stock the pantry or how you go shopping for the groceries, just in case I have to do it. Like, I trust you got it. And if something happens to you, I'll figure it out. It's the same thing to a degree financially. We'll talk about where it gets more complicated, but when you're talking about basic finances, which is most of these people that are coming on Twitter or TikTok, they're not running multiple businesses and have real estate investments like we do and all of that stuff. They literally have a job, have their house payment, whatever, and utility bills.
Right.
If you die as a man, your wife can figure that out. Like, I mean, yeah, you should leave behind a document, which we'll talk about. But I'm just saying, like, they're acting like, oh, if she doesn't know what's going on, she doesn't know where the finances are, oh, she'll just be ruined.
Yeah.
If you have a complicated empire like we do, yes, then that is the case, or to a degree, but we'll talk about how to mitigate that. But essentially, it's not that hard.
Right. I think now that I think about it, I think it's mostly they're worried about financially irresponsible men.
Sure. That's exactly
right. Because
Right.
they even said that you were spending all the money on leather bracelets and chest waxing.
How did they know my secret? But
really, it's like,
yeah.
I mean, look,
we have to dispel that because I just naturally am just,
you are
just pure.
But let them think what they want, I guess. I'm naturally pure.
I'm evolved of a human, so I have less hair. I mean, that's how it is. Like I can't help it.
But I think that's their real concern, right?
I've never waxed my chest ever in my life.
Okay. We believe you. Okay. I believe you. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean.
But but you have gotten waxed before. See, now you're like,
like the full. I did the full Monty wax because everybody's got to experience that once to see what
I have not.
Got to get the porn star wax. Why not? Like, just see what that's like.
Painful.
It's sort of also like a challenge. It's like, can you actually go to a place, expose your?
See, that is probably why you really did it.
There was a little bit of a like, I'm afraid to do this, so I need to do this.
Because you've did it with the skydiving. That makes more sense.
Yeah,
but I don't think everyone shares the same experience as you, like that they've done it at least once. But yeah, chest hair waxing, no. Full body, maybe.
Yeah.
But no, going in a different direction. I think they're just afraid that their husband obviously can't control his spending.
Exactly.
They would have a freaking heart attack, though, if they married a man like you who's spending thousands of dollars on training.
Yeah.
They would like poop their pants.
For sure.
But no, but their thing, I guess, is that their husbands don't know how to budget. But a lot of men also have issues with women not knowing how to budget. So it's like, it's not a thing that all men don't know how to budget and all women don't know how to budget.
No. And you're right. Like all of their stuff is coming down to one thing, which is not trusting.
Right.
That's what whatever they're saying, all their arguments and stuff, it's all just smokescreen for, I don't actually trust the man that I'm with. Right. That's what it all means.
Right.
Because if you trusted the man that you're with, you would trust his decisions.
And same with the lawyers in the comments that were like, don't do this. Yeah. Because by the time that they see you, they definitely don't trust their spouse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're going into the marriage, you should trust that person.
Right.
I'm not saying that stuff doesn't happen where unfortunately you end up getting a divorce and now you don't trust that person. But really, you should be as close to 100% confident that your relationship can sustain anything and that your partner's not going to go astray or whatever. Again, that's not 100% in my control. Like I can't control what you're going to do.
Right.
But I can trust you 100% knowing that I know who you are and I know what our relationship is like.
Right.
And I don't have to stress about that. And I'm not going to stress about that because again, all of this is just women stressing before they need to stress.
And they've lowered their standards. Imagine a world in which women had high standards. Imagine a world in which women didn't sleep with a guy, right? Unless he was actually a real man.
Yeah.
Which means that he knew not just how to talk, but how to manage his finances and how to actually be a lead.
Do you know how many single women there'd be?
But yes, at first, right? But then what would have to happen?
Men would get mad, though. I think men would get mad. They wouldn't get better.
They would have to step up over time. Otherwise, the human race dies, and then good riddance to the human race.
But honestly,
but
I don't know if men would really step up.
Look, but you're doing the same thing that they're doing, of not trusting, right? It's
I don't trust other men. I only trust you.
I know, but you have to
trust them.
I know,
you are.
I know, but I was also not that man at one point, and I became that man.
Yeah, but I highly doubt you were.
Men are not
at
born.
the level of some of these people.
I mean, maybe not at the level, but I was an immature dummy at one point, and I had to learn these skills. So if I can learn them, another man can, but they have to be challenged. Men thrive
the right way
in challenge,
with standards.
Exactly. And so if you imagine a world where women didn't even sleep with the man, unless he had his, besides just, being courteous and being a leader and being a man, that he had his finances together. And they're like, I mean, like, it's not like how much money do you make? It's like, do you actually budget? Do you have a budget? Like, do you have some plans for your financial future? You know what I mean? But that's why a lot of times, you know, if we go back to the old, oh, people are really going to hate me now, but you know, it would be the father, right? Would interview the prospective suitor for the daughter and would be like, okay, like, how are you going to support a family? Oh, well, what are your financial plans for the future? Like, what is your career? You're a clerk. That's not a career. What's your actual career plan? Like, what are you going to do so that he's making sure that this dude is actually a man? You know what I mean? Because if women had that standard, then they wouldn't get into a situation where they don't trust the guy.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say.
So now they have to be the dad. Women, you have to be the dad and ask him about his financial future. Look, and this is coming from somebody that when I was with a boyfriend in college and I lived with him, he did not have a savings. And I was like, what are you doing? And I was 3 years younger than him.
Right.
Which is not a lot, but I was younger than him. And so I was like, how am I more responsible than you? You don't have a savings account? And he again was like, I guess like a lot of men that these women married, he would spend money on certain things that I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, we have bills to pay.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what is happening? So I get where these women are coming from.
Sure.
But like you said, you either settle for that and you have the stress. It's now all on you. You're the leader.
Right.
And women will act like, oh, yeah, like, I want that. Because, yes, there is a part of us as women, we want to be in control. So that is very enticing.
Right.
However, I'm talking to the ladies here. Having been on that side, and I was the leader and I was in control, and now you're the leader and you're in control for the most of the stuff, I would gladly take this with a man that I trust and know has my best interest in heart and I know is not going to do me wrong. Then go back to being the one in control and making all the decisions and managing all the things.
Right. Well, and answer me this question, Nicole, honestly. Am I hard on men?
Yes.
How hard am I on men?
Very hard.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So for when women watch this and listen to this, I'm like, look, if the dude is not financially capable, okay, maybe give him a chance and like say, hey, like, I'm not going to do this. Like, you know.
Give him a chance while he's your boyfriend and he can mess up his own financial situation or if you're married, and not join.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you're married, like, be like, look, this is important to me. Like, you know, you should be handling this stuff. And if you're like, you don't trust him, whatever, then, and he really can't do it, then just kick his ass to the curb. Get a divorce, whatever. Kick his ass to the curb.
So divorce him if he's not financially literate?
Yeah, fuck that guy. Like, because like I said, I'm hard on men, right? I'm not as hard on women, honestly. I'm not, right? Because I feel like the man's supposed to be the leader. And so like the reason why I'm saying this is because a lot of women are like, oh, he's so chauvinist, old fashioned, blah, blah, blah. He's like, you know, just domineering, control women, don't, you know, financially abuse women. And it's like, no, I'm actually harder on the men because my whole point is that like, yeah, I'm ready to like kick his ass to the curb because I think a lot of women are thinking, oh, he's like, oh, good old boy, like men are better than women, like men should be in control and charge. No, not pussy.
Only good men.
Right, exactly. Not pussy ass men. They need to just be kicked to the curb. Like, let's end their evolutionary line. They don't need to procreate and reproduce.
And let's go back to the novels that women love so much.
Life is hard, yeah.
Are there guys in there where the woman, like, does the woman in the book control everything? And she's like, yeah, honey, just sit on the couch and watch your football. No, he's like handling all the things.
Right.
So like deep down, a woman wants what we're talking about.
Right.
But that's what I'm trying to say is like, I get that it's coming from a place of fear and coming from a place of not trusting the man that they're with because again, I've been on both sides and I don't want to go back to that side. And that side is stressful. And you are more likely to post on a video that you're pissed off about the man saying that, you know, a woman shouldn't have to deal with that stress because you're dealing with that stress. That triggers you. Exactly. Then you're like spewing that on everybody. Yeah. Like, I get it. But that doesn't mean that your viewpoint is correct.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, I can, I guess, even say that our viewpoint is correct, but in a way,
I can say it's correct. It's correct.
like if you're sitting here commenting that you're in control of the things and your husband doesn't even care / know what you're doing to manage the finances, you're no better than what we're saying, because you're doing what we're saying,
and which I'm saying, like, I guess we can go to the to the actual thing is that what I'm saying is that, you know, how does a man take care of his woman, right? Like the way that he does that is stepping up and actually being a servant leader, which means that you put her first, your house first. Like yesterday, I want to take a nap, right? I'm super tired. I'm working hard. And you're like, oh, I can take care. I could call the plumber or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to take my nap. I'm going to go and take care of the thing. That's how you take care. That's what a servant leader is a man. Because you could have done it.
And this was a stressful thing. Like the toilet was spewing it was, a lot of water. It made a weird noise. And then...
And I've had plenty of work and stressful week I've been working on. But it's like the way that you do this is by... It is a matter of sacrifice. It is a matter of like... Things are not equal. Like you're going to do more as a man and be okay with that because you're the man. That's what it means to be the man. Now, that means that like you're taking care of all of the things that you can to take them off of her plate so that she doesn't have to worry and stress about these things, right? And that's where the taking the financial part comes in. It's not because you want to control it. It's not because you think that she's not competent. It's not because you know, whatever, like you want to use it to manipulate to get her to behave in a certain way or like so that she can never leave you. Those are not the reasons. The reason why is because you want to take care of her. You want her to feel like she's taken care of, like you've got it handled. And you might say, well, okay, well, then why couldn't I just share exactly what's going on with the finances? Is because it's going to stress her out. It is. Like, and if you've really got it handled and she trusts you, then there's not going to be a problem. Right. And that's the thing. It's like, and it's like, because you asked me, you're like, oh, if I wanted to see some of the stuff that's going on, I'm happy to show you the stuff. I'm just not going to report it on a weekly basis to you.
Well,
I'm not going to like
you to do that. Cause then that's like another thing that I'm like, okay, I have to sit for this meeting. Right. Like I trust you. Like if it's every so often, or if I feel like I'm forgetting or whatever, I can ask you also. Like it's not that big of a deal. You know what I mean?
I probably shouldn't even tell you like I spent $16,000 on sales training because it probably doesn't, like you're like, oh my God.
I trust you to know that like you wouldn't spend $16,000 if that affected the rest of our finances. Does that make sense? So it's like, that's a lot of money. I tell you that every time you say something like that. But I also trust you and know that you wouldn't spend that if we didn't have the means to do that. You know what I mean? Like if other things were being neglected for that, which is what these women are talking about. Because they have men that would spend the $16,000 or whatever, and that would be their rent. And then now what are they?
And that's what I'm saying is like, if you got a guy that you can't trust like that, then you either, if you love him, good, then don't allow him to be a child. Like you help him be a man. Right. But if you don't love him enough that you're going to help him be a man, then kick him to the curb.
But
it's a hard world for men.
Because, I'm going to talk about this because with the boyfriend in college, I was trying to help him be a man. And
but that's not helping him be a man.
Then I think you need to explain that because women think trying to teach a man how to literally be a man. And then she feels even more like the man. And now she doesn't want anything to do with you, like romantically. And you're almost like having a child rather than a man.
Let me tell you how they used to teach men how to be men. How, like in the tribes,
they send them out to kill an animal and
they're like, here,
come back with the animal.
There's no instruction. All right, 3 days, you go out there, like here's a stick. But give me all your clothes, like run out there naked and figure the shit out. And maybe you'll die. And then, but if you don't, come back and you're a man. That's it. That's it. Because that's how you gotta, the way that a man learns to be a man, he can learn other things in other ways. But the way a man learns how to be a man is that he takes on life, which is lifing and is hard, and he deals with it. And he doesn't get help to deal with it because he's got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And if he does actually need the help, then he has to go.
What can a woman do to send her man out there to potentially die? not really, but you know what I mean?
By not allowing, but by having standards, being like, I'm a lady. This is like, you know, even the thing like, you know, I don't open my own door. Like,
I don't open my own door.
I'm a lady. I could break my nails. Like, you know, like you're teaching him, like, you know, and it doesn't have to be all negative. It can be positive. Oh, that's so hot when you do that. It's, you know, is it getting moist in here? Like, you know, like, I'm trying to keep the podcast more PG than, you know, not directly talk about the that's, you know, but it can be that as well. But especially in the financial side is just to be like, look, you take care of this. You pay the bills.
It is scarier for women if you're married and it's conjoined because that is going to affect you. But that's why I said earlier.
Yeah, but you
try to let him flounder before you guys get married and conjoin.
You got yourself into this situation.
I get it.
Where you're, you know, and people are like, oh, well, listen.
You accepted it and then now you're upset about it and like you're doing most of the work, but you signed up for.
Yeah. Or there's people that think they're perfectly happy. Like these women are like, oh, it's an equal partnership. This is ridiculous. Like I make money. He makes money. We equally make all the decisions and budget the thing, which is fine. Like but totally cool for a business partnership.
Here's why that's better. Yeah. Because they have never, ever, 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 ever met a man that they could give 100% trust to.
Right.
So 50-50 equal is better than a guy that's doing absolutely nothing where she's 100% the man and he's the woman, basically.
Right.
So at least if they find a man that does half of his stuff, that's better than this.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's why they're happy with it because they're like, oh, okay, at least I'm getting half of the work.
Yeah.
They've never had a man do all of the stuff and they just get to, you know, exist and not stress.
And they could, like I said, you can operate that way and be like, okay, partnership, whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. Like from a very theoretical standpoint, business partnership, great.
Right.
But you're going to read your smut novels and wishing that you had a, you know, because you're not going to have a sexual relationship. You're not going to have.
Well, not at the level.
No, you're not going to have a polarity. And if you're both like, see each other as perfectly equal, interchangeable parts, that is like, then you might as well swap it for another woman or another guy. Like, why does it have to be a man and a woman? In that case, or whatever, you know, or even let's not even say man and women, because there's people that have a different it's man and man or woman and woman, which is, but it's not masculine and masculine, and it's not feminine and feminine, because even in the, you know, the LGBTQ community, they recognize polarity of masculine and feminine. There's a top and a bottom. There's a dom and a sub. Like those things create
a whole,
right? So
rather than just two halves of the same. Yeah.
So however you slice it, like if you're being like neutralized from a polarities perspective, you're not going to have a spark.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have a negative pole and a positive pole. So.
Well, someone also said, is this shielding or controlling?
But that's what I was saying was that if you're,
it's
you're
like how you view it.
Right. But it's the dynamic of the entire relationship, right? Like, I can ask you, like, in our relationship, am I controlling you?
No.
So then what am I doing? Then why do I need, if I'm not controlling you, why do I need to be the leader? Why do I need to be the one in charge?
Because you love me and you want to take care of me.
No, but like, but why? Okay.
Man, you're going to handle the stuff. You can do it and handle the stuff better.
Right.
But even if you can't, it's admirable for you to even do the stuff so that I never even have to stress about it, even if it's super stressful for you. Right. Does that make sense? So it's like you're trying to give me a better life and handle all the stuff because you know you're capable.
Right. Like I can't actually shield you.
Right.
Unless I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Right. Because otherwise I have to be like, oh, I need you to approve of this thing. Like all the things I'm trying to protect you from, I now have to stress you out with because I need you to be part of making that decision. Now, again, I'm not saying that there's not decisions that we don't, that I don't have your input in order for me to make the ultimate decision on, or there's not decisions that I'm like, you can, whatever you decide, I believe, like, I trust you 100% on that. Like you delegate that to you. But ultimately, if I don't have the authority, then I can't actually do the shielding. I can't actually do the protecting.
Right.
Right. Because I don't have the power behind it. So I got to be able to make a lot of decisions, even some of them without you even knowing about those decisions. Not because I'm hiding them or trying to control you, but because I am actually shielding you from those decisions.
Like what?
I don't know, like just day-to-day business things that I spend money on, or that I make, or even when I'm handling our finances in terms of the real estate rentals and, and all of those things, and, that type of stuff. Or maybe even on the utilities, right? It's like, okay, well, this is going to be charging this much money. Am I going to change it or use someone else, or, all of those things? Like, you don't need to know all of those things.
Right. Well, because I know that you have our best interest in heart. So it's like, I just wanted you to give some examples so that people understood. But yeah, no, I don't. Again, that's why the comments didn't bother me, because they just can't get it. Like, they don't really get what you're saying. And I get that the clip is a little misleading, but they don't know you like I know you, and they don't have a man that is like you. So I get that they're just talking from their perspective, and I get that they're living from a place of fear, and I get why, because they're in survival mode, whether they know it or not. I'm not in survival mode. I'm the furthest thing from survival mode. I'm like,
right. Well, and maybe it helps.
You is like the first time I've been out of survival mode, I feel like, and they don't understand that, because they don't have the person there to be a partner with. Like, they're like, I want a partner. I don't feel like we're not partners.
No,
like,
but it's not
partners as in 50-50,
right.
but
a partner
we're
in their relationship.
Yeah. Like we're one unit. We're
right,
a unit,
exactly.
I guess.
Yeah.
So when someone says partner, like a lot of people think 50-50. Yeah. But it's like we're a collective unit. It's like the yin and the yang, like we've talked about, but it makes one, but they're two distinct things.
Right.
Like, we're not two of the same.
No, I think it helps maybe to understand the mentality, right? The psychology. Because like I said, I wanted to talk about how a man keeps a wife, or keeps a woman, how he takes care of, and like my mentality as a man is that I'm responsible for everything. I'm responsible for your life, for our children life. I'm responsible for like making the money, making sure that the money's spent correctly, making sure that we have a long-term future and the money's invested correctly. I'm responsible for, if there's something that you don't know that you should know, I'm responsible for your emotional well-being, your emotional development, your physical well-being, like your physical health and development, your psychological, spiritual, like all of those things. In my mind, I'm ultimately responsible for every aspect of our lives. That's how I view it. And so that's where it all starts from, is like viewing it as being totally 100% responsible. I'm not blaming anyone. I can't say it's anyone else's fault for everything that occurs in our lives. And if you take that level of ownership and responsibility, then it doesn't seem very ridiculous to be in charge of the finances to a degree, or it's like, you don't even have to worry about it. I've got it. Because I'm taking care of way bigger things than just the financial side of things.
Right.
But that's where the mentality has to be.
Yeah.
And if you're with a man who doesn't have that mentality, where he doesn't feel like, if he's like, well, you're responsible for these things and I'm responsible for these things, or even the relationship. Like I was talking to one of my friends, Josh, who helps men. He's a licensed therapist, and he got some flack on the internet because he made a post where he was saying that a man is 100% responsible for the failure of a relationship. And all these statistics and psychologists were attacking him. And it's like, no, that's the viewpoint.
Who was the most upset? Men?
I think men were the most upset about that, right? Some women obviously too, but it's like, no, that's the viewpoint that I have, is that as a man, like it might not be 100% true, right? Yeah. Can a woman mess up a relationship? Yeah, of course. But as a man, I'm taking on that total responsibility and taking it on myself. And And that's how I have to view things, as ultimately the buck stops here. There's no excuse. There's no other reason or person to blame, right? Because even if you do have an issue with the woman that you're with, it's up to you to help her to understand where she's going wrong and to give her the help to figure out how to fix those things.
But what if she doesn't? Because I agree with you that, you know, if you're going to lead, you are responsible.
Right.
But there does come a point where you can't force somebody to do something.
Right.
You know, if you're helping her with something and she doesn't have the willpower to do it, she doesn't want to do it for herself, and she doesn't do it,
right.
Then what?
Then as a man, that's the
you
scar
have to
that
bow out and...
Or no, that's the scar you have to carry. Now you have a defective situation that you can't fix. Like, I think ultimately this is coming with the advice of saying that when you got into this, you were that man, right? Because you have to be that man from the very beginning with that mindset, right? Because if you select a woman that is not a woman that you should be with,
right,
then you got to deal with the consequences of that, because that is taking full ownership as a man. Even then, trying to bow out. I mean, aside from an extremely abusive type of situation, is like, if she's just not doing what she's supposed to be doing or what you want her to do, or she's not growing or whatever, or she's very stubborn, that's still, you got to deal with that because you made that choice as a man.
But men deal with that by cheating or something.
Well, I mean, that's not dealing with it as a man.
Right.
You know, that's not really, right? So,
right.
And I can speak from experience of making mistakes, right?
Right.
And people often will point out and be like, oh, I mean, you made these mistakes. Well, I mean, would you rather learn from someone who's made mistakes and learn from them, or someone who hasn't yet made the mistakes? Because there's only two types of men. There's only two types of people. People who have made the mistakes and learned from them. I guess maybe you could say there's three people who haven't learned from them, but right. Or people who haven't made the mistakes, because they will make those mistakes if they haven't learned.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But how is as a man, to get in kind of the second part, like financially, what does this look like? Because I mean, the biggest complaint that women had, right, was that what happens if you die?
And she doesn't know what the finances look like or anything like that.
So let's address that. Like I think it's pretty simple. So for most people's situations, their situation is simple. It's not like ours. Right. We have a bunch of real estate businesses, all kinds of complicated legal structures and things like that, which I'll address that as well. But for most people, this is kind of a ridiculous thing to just even say, because if you're just a dude working a job that you're getting paid from someone else, and you have a house and you have bills, right? Like, it's not super complicated.
Right.
First of all,
it's kind of giving when guys who have no money are like, that girl's a gold digger. And you're like, you don't have any gold to dig, sir.
Exactly. Like, I mean, hopefully you have like stuff organized as a man, just in general, where if you died, she could pull up your Google Doc and spreadsheet and be able to see like
still
some
be
kind
organized.
of, you're on like whatever, budgeting app or something, or you have some kind of, right. So where you wouldn't even need to provide a document. But I mean, you should probably have some kind of documentation, right? Where, okay, if I pass away, here's how you understand it. Or you can, instead of having the documentation, you could show her what you're doing, right? And be like, okay, you don't need to worry about this, but just so you know. But that's
you should still have a document just in case, because I feel like you would have to check in more regularly in order to make sure that she understands how it operates, rather than if you wrote it down.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, so you can look at the document, like you can explain to her and show her the document, and then you've got the document to go back to, so that you understand what this means. Right.
Yeah.
But most likely, actually, the best thing in that for most people's circumstance is just life insurance. Right. So as a responsible man, if you're just working a regular job, you don't have kind of a real estate empire and all other kind of assets and stuff, then you're just going to buy a life insurance policy, so that if you die, or when you die, when something happens to you, that she's going to get $1 million, whatever is necessary in order to take care of your funeral expenses and to take care of the house. And then some documentation of, okay, how do you, like, are there certain bills and contact information and stuff like that? So, so that's very, like, one day worth of work. and you can take care of that problem. So that's why I don't understand so many people are, I mean, I understand because they're using this as a smokescreen because really they don't trust the man.
Right.
Because they're like, oh, well, what happens if he dies?
They don't even trust him to make a will or write something down. And honestly, a lot of people don't.
Right.
Even when they get elderly, they don't write all this stuff down and it creates a mess, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, everybody should really do it to some degree, have some sort of documentation, but especially the man, if he's running all the things. I mean, these women who are like, I do everything and my husband doesn't care. They should have it for their husband.
Right. Yeah. What happens if you die? Then he's
so it's like, do you have it all written down for your husband? Like, if you're watching this, if you're one of those women, you probably should, because he's going to be in the dark or he's going to be, you know,
do you have life insurance?
Buying car parts and then he doesn't have a house. He'll have to live in his car. He doesn't know. So write your stuff down.
But you have to have some kind of, like, that's the easiest financial instrument is a life insurance policy, which I don't have, because we'll get to that because I have a better plan for us. But you need to think about this as a man. And like I said, it's literally a day worth of work to figure this out. So that's why when you're saying like, oh, what happens if he dies? And she doesn't know how to figure out how to log on to the bank account and then to pay the bills. This is, you could teach a sixth grader how to do this stuff. Like, have a documentation and a document. And maybe for a couple of days, she's like, I don't understand all the bills that we have. Well, it's like, okay, you have a water bill, you have electricity bill, you know, you got a mortgage or a rent bill. It's not like it's super complicated that she has to be in it every step of the way. Right. It's like, if she knew nothing about the bills or whatever you were doing with the accounts and you passed away, and you could have it all in a document or a video that explains it, and literally in a day, you could understand that. That's not for most people, right? For our situation, it would not, it wouldn't be that easy. But having the life insurance policy makes sense. Well, and then also with those people too, when they're like, okay, well, we've got shared finances and all of this stuff, and you're both making it. Yeah, but did you actually set up a trust? Because also you don't know about probate, right? And so the people that are lecturing me, if either one of you dies, like, a lot of your possessions may go to probate. But so we have a family trust, which we're both executors of the trust. And so if either of us dies, it doesn't matter because everything is owned by the trust. So that's another thing that any couple should be doing anyway, right? Again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know any legal. This does not constitute legal advice. This is just the ramblings of some idiot on the internet. So, you know, but, so talk to your lawyer, but, you know, figure that out. So, but then when it comes down to like our plan, like, what do I have figured out? Well, I have a very detailed document that I've sent you, right? That
it's very detailed.
Specifies which has links to spreadsheets, which have the real estate, which all of the stuff and how to handle leases and all of that stuff. Right. And
the management companies.
Right.
Yeah.
And look, if you had to figure all that stuff out, even with a document, it would be quite a bit.
Right.
For sure.
It is a lot. Yeah. And I think the thing that we had talked about too, when we were kind of discussing this a little bit more in depth after we saw the comments, was that I feel like grieving.
Yeah.
And dealing with financial stuff, no matter what, no matter who you are, even if you know what you're doing.
Right.
Even if you're 50-50 and you've been involved the whole time, it's going to be hard anyway.
Right.
But like I said before, unless you got married fresh out of high school and you didn't have any bills to pay.
Right. Like
you've paid bills, you've paid rent, you've paid whatever.
Right.
Like, you know how to do those things.
Yeah.
And even if you, like, I have not owned real estate prior to being with you. So that is something I don't have full knowledge of, but also you've laid it out. We've talked about the properties and the things like that. I don't still have the full picture, but I could learn it or get someone to help me figure it out as well too. So it's like, I'm not going to stress like these people on the internet.
Right.
And I get though that they've probably seen people who've been put in a bad situation, but that's because the other person that was handling all the stuff didn't prepare them. with like a document or those things, or they didn't trust them, or, you know, they chose to be.
Or they had a mountain of debt and it's like, oh, we're actually in a very bad situation financially. It's like, oh, you owe all this money. And I get that when you pass. But that's, it's not because she was in the dark.
Right.
It's because he was an idiot. Like, you can't fix that part. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if she was still in the light and saw that they had all this debt and he was still an idiot managing the finances, it doesn't change much except that she gets to dread it for the years while he's alive and when he's dead.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Or maybe she tries to
stress about it then and
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about that is like, you just have to have a plan as a man.
Right.
Okay. If something happens to you.
Plan as a man.
Yeah. How will your wife take care of, like, you know, so I documented all the things, you know, and then I have a trust that we're set up on. So you have all the assets. And then I have some friends that I know could help you, that could figure out, that are, you know, have enough financial knowledge that if something happened to me, they would be able to tell you, okay, this is, or they could figure out, okay, this is what he's doing because they have some real estate experience, or okay, this is how, like, they could read the document, explain it to you, or give you some advice and be like, maybe you should just sell all.
I would just figure it out.
Yeah, or maybe they'd be like, okay, maybe you should just sell all of this stuff and, you know, and not have to worry about that, or you could make the decision then. But you see what I'm saying? It's like I've thought it out to give you the best plan possible.
Right.
And that's what you can do.
But that's also why, again, that none of this like triggered me. It triggered them.
Right.
Because I get where they're living at. I get where they're coming from. I get the knowledge that they have.
Right.
That is different than what we have.
Right.
So, but that's why we wanted to do this other extra episode, because we even left out the part about, you know, making a plan as a man if you're in this situation. And I mean, like I said, just in general, if you're a woman who's doing the finances and your husband's in the dark, you need a plan as well too.
You shouldn't be doing that.
I mean,
that's
you shouldn't be, but you're
like,
going to screw your husband over if you don't have a plan and you're still operating that
by
way.
their own logic, right?
Right.
But
right, exactly. So it's like, you know, there was a lot still to uncover here, I guess, but hopefully we made it a little bit.
But that's why
clear.
I tried to explain the mindset too.
Right.
As a man, look, I'm hard on men. Like I said, life is tough for a man. It's supposed to be. That's why you're the man. Like to really be a man, like to live as a boy, it's fine. Like it can be the same. It can be equal. You can complain about women have it easier, or it should be 50-50 or whatever. If you want to live as a boy, that's fine. Like, you know, I believe there's 3 sexes: man, woman, and boy. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be boy and woman, then okay, be that if you want. But if you actually want to be a man, then it means that your mindset needs to be, I'm in charge of everything and responsible for everything.
Right.
And the buck stops here, which means that you got to think about also what happens after you pass. Like, how can this woman actually put her life in your hands and trust you? And how do you really have everything taken care of? Right. And it's not about just making her life easier. It's like fully taking on the responsibility. Right. Which means you got to think about all the things. Right.
Yeah. And plan for them.
Right. And here's the thing. If you're that guy, right, then I think a lot of women that even say they would swear on their mother's grave that they would never, ever, or swear on the Bible that they would never, ever accept a man that did all those things, that would be in charge or be in control. I think even a lot of those women would be like, oh, okay, yeah, actually, this is an exception in this case, or like, you know,
they would,
right? Because why would you
just
not?
Can't even fathom that a man like that exists. That's why they read the books.
Right.
It seems like a fantasy. Like, I get it. I've been before you came along, I was them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but again, like you said, you can't settle. Like, I mean, if you're in a marriage right now, you can try to flip it around. Like you said, you can read The Surrendered Wife or The Empowered Wife, and those are good ways to try to flip the dynamic to what we're talking about. Right. But if you're still single, or even if you're dating and you haven't gotten to the marriage part yet, and you want a strong masculine man that you trust, and like you said, it's going to give you servant leadership, not controlling, bossing leadership, and you'll know the difference, because you'll know who he is as a person, then you have to wait for that. You can't settle. Like, and I get that as a woman, sometimes you're like, will my Prince Charming ever come? You have to wait.
Yeah. Well, and you can't squash it. Like, that's why that book is, what was the book?
Queen's Code.
The Queen's Code is so important because it's Armstrong, Allison Armstrong, right? Because she talks about like the frog farmers, women who are crushing that in a man instead of allowing it to develop. Yeah, there are some men that it doesn't matter. Well, but they're going to walk away. That's the thing is they're going to be like, they're going to be done with you.
The woman could learn because she lost a good man.
But as a woman, you have to like not emasculate the man, especially a man who has the potential. Right. He might not be the king right now and have that confidence because especially in this world environment that we're in, but
you got to be careful with potential.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think somebody has potential that they don't actually have.
What I'm saying is the potential in the sense that like you don't want to be the one that crushes the potential. like he's
doing the things, but you don't want to crush it. Okay.
Right. If
I thought
you're
you meant,
the
like
one.
he might be able to do those things. I'm like, that's dangerous.
I mean, he's trying to do the things, and then you are emasculating
You're like,
him.
Let me do it.
Yeah, or you're emasculating him, making him not feel like a man, and then you're actually causing his development to go downward instead of the upward path that he was on. But
that's true.
But yeah, you have to hold that standard.
You're right.
And that's how it should be. And that's what I'm saying is like, and if we flip that, right? And if you're a woman and you're like, okay, I want to be in charge of all the things, some women be like, yeah, that'd be fine. Like, yeah, but the burden of it, are you really ready for the full burden of responsibility? That in like, are you like, you would say, yeah, I'd be in charge of all things and I could take care of all the things. Yeah, but also, would you take 100% responsibility for everything that happens? And even if your man fucks up, then you're still 100% responsible because you allowed him to fuck up? I don't think so. I think most women, but that's what I'm calling men to do.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying like the burden, the crown is heavy on the head that wears it, right? It's like that crown is a heavy crown to bear because you're responsible for the thing. It's not something that you put on the crown and like, I'm the king and you have to listen to me. And it's like, you should, anyone who would want to be king should consider that a burden on him, not a privilege. You know what I'm saying? Like it is a privilege, but I'm saying it's not a benefit.
It's not an easy thing.
Like, yeah,
it's harder.
Yeah. It's something that you do because you know that you're the best person to do. Like it's a sacrifice that you make in order to be the king rather than something that you're like, oh, I want to be the king so I can be in charge of everyone. It's like, I will sacrifice my life to be the king because I know that I can make everyone else's lives better by taking on this responsibility. That's what it's supposed to be. And if you're viewing it that way and the finances that way, then I don't think that, like I said, you're not going to get this situation where we have women in the comments that are saying this stuff, which I even get, like I said, because they're coming from that other perspective. Right. But if they understand this perspective of how the man is actually supposed to be, then those comments don't make sense. Right.
A lot of people are going to be leaving their husbands after this or trying to get him to be the man that they want him to be. But
that's what it should be as a man. Like life is hard.
The men might come for you too, though.
Then let them come for me. It's okay. Yeah. So
don't actually come for John. Then you got to go through me. But yeah, we do have an end segment.
Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, we got into a bit of a but it wasn't like
you just didn't feel heard and understood. And I didn't really understand the situation that you were talking about fully.
Right.
I was trying to.
Right.
And it's not an excuse. I was trying to.
Right.
But it was complicated until we had the recent conversation where I did actually get it.
Yeah.
And so because we had previous conversations and I was trying to figure it out, but I still wasn't getting it right. You felt like I didn't really understand you.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what the heck? I'm trying as hard as I can, but it didn't fully click in my head. And in the conversation I told you, like, I didn't have that epiphany moment then either. Like, I had to have that moment where it really clicked in my head to understand what you wanted and what you were saying. Because in my mind, you were saying one thing, but then I was like, but I got to care about you.
Right.
And like, that kind of negated what you wanted from me. And so then it finally hit that, like, no, like, I will care about you if I don't care about you. Does that make sense? That's why it made it so complicated.
Yeah, that's what made it so complicated. Yeah, exactly.
And so it was like just a very complicated situation, but because it had gone on for a while and I couldn't really get it, you thought that I didn't care about you or understood you, which wasn't the case. And then I was like, what do you mean? I'm doing all this stuff for you. And you're like, that doesn't make me feel like you care. And then I'm like, what does that mean? You know, it was just a very like, complicated, like not complicated to you because you knew what you wanted, but complicated because it wasn't adding up for me. And then it finally added up. And then, you know, and then also like it was a situation that again didn't make sense to me. So I was getting defensive, which didn't help the situation because I'm like, what do you mean? I'm doing all this stuff for you. And then you're like, you're being defensive. And I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. But then when I finally understood and, you know, we talked about it, it made it easier to understand that I was being defensive and that I didn't understand, but now I understand.
And well, yeah. And and everyone else doesn't understand because they're like, what the hell is she talking about? But
well, now you know how
but we're trying to keep things PG, you know, but no, but I think also like it was a learning moment for me to realize again, talking about the leadership, servant leadership as a man is that you have to say when there's something wrong. Immediately, like as quickly as possible, and then allow people to actually suffer their own consequences, like to take responsibility for things that they like. If I'm in charge and I'm a leader, then I have everyone else that I'm in charge of that needs to actually own the stuff that they need to do.
Right.
Because that is me actually being in charge because I can't take the responsibility for their results individually. Like what they ultimately produce, I own in my education and training and helping them, right? And assisting them as a leader and a servant leader, like giving them the assistance that they need, but actually trying to own their results is overstepping because it prevents them from their growth. Right. And so what I was doing is it wasn't just in your case, but in many cases, even with our daughter and in a lot of circumstances where I don't want to see someone fail. So I stop them from failing. Instead of being like, hey, this is your thing. You're going to have, I'll help you, but you're going to have to figure it out. And if you don't, then that's what, you know, it's like, instead I'm like, okay, let me fix this for you. Let me fix all these things. And so I became a very big fixer because I feel like, well, I've got responsibility, so I need to fix everything. And it's like, no, sometimes you have to let other people fix things. And when they fix things, then they'll.
Well, I think you were like giving more chances in this situation. I don't think it was fixing because I don't feel like you fixed it before. Like you would give me some examples, but I didn't really understand.
Yeah.
But more so, I think your idea of fixing was like giving me a pass for it. But then you were kind of like keeping that inside because it did hurt you, but you didn't talk about it.
Right.
And so you more so gave me like a pass.
Right.
And then didn't talk about it. And then it did kind of build up, not like a full blown resentment, but it built up something because you didn't say initially when it hurt you. So that's why when you're talking about like I want you to tell me in that moment what is going on with you. I don't want you to hold on to it or like, you know, be like, whatever. Like that doesn't mean don't give each other the benefit of the doubt and know that each other's coming from a better place. But it means like when something initially happens that you talk about it, because you were kind of like shoving things down, not just with me, but with other people. And like, because you didn't want to be like, okay, you would probably tell yourself, well, they didn't like mean it and like they'll do better. And then you kept waiting for them to do better. But then you didn't tell them how you felt. And so they didn't know that they were doing anything wrong. Because again, that's also what kind of caused the defensiveness in our situation. You brought up something at one point that was from like January. And I'm like, you haven't said anything about this at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it felt like very blindsidey and so.
Because it wasn't bothering me. Right.
But it did then, but then you shoved it down,
exactly.
right?
Or it didn't consciously come up for me.
But I do the same thing too sometimes when I'm upset and you're like, what's wrong? You know, and like, you're just better at hiding it. And then I'm like, okay. And the part of me is like, I don't want to tell him.
Well, I wasn't hiding it.
Well, no, I meant, but like, it's harder to tell that something like is upsetting you for me to be like, what's wrong? I mean, sometimes I do.
It was a subconscious thing that I had that I didn't even realize was something that had affected me back then. Because you don't even think about it.
But I mean, it still kind of is pushing it down because sometimes when you're like,
that's right.
What's wrong? I'm like, this is kind of stupid. I don't have to tell him. Like, I'll get over it.
Right.
But then I'm like, no, I should just say it.
Right, because,
and then it lets it all the way out.
Yeah.
But see, even if you think in your head, this is kind of stupid, I'll get over it.
Right.
You're not actually getting over it.
Right. Because what's happened is you're just letting go of the thread.
Right.
And now you've lost it, but it's still fallen down into the pipe.
It's still there.
It's still in the pipe. I don't know why I'm thinking that's my analogy.
The plumbing.
Yeah, it's still down there, but you don't have a string to pull it back up because you don't, but it's in there now.
But then when your toilet backs up,
then you're going to find it. That's why, the analogy was, then it's going to come out.
All the stuff's coming out.
I was more brilliant than I even realized, but that's what happens.
Yeah, no. So, and that's what happened. And so.
Yeah.
It was necessary.
Yeah.
Things like that aren't fun. They're not fun to go through, but they're necessary.
And I think just as a man too, it's like you're always going to still deal with, and you have to kind of purge out all of this nice guy and peacekeeping that you're trying to do, where you don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
And it's got to be like, look, no, you got to tell people when. Again, you need to do things in the right way, but you need to tell people when something upsets you. You tell people when they're wrong.
Yeah.
When there needs to be you need to be willing to accept those consequences, and maybe they're not going to like it, or maybe they're going to, but you can't be like, I'm just going to say anything because I don't want to rock the boat here. Or they did pretty good. Like they did 80%. So I'll just give them the pass. It's like, no. If it's not what you need, then you need to say it, not give them the pass on the thing, because it doesn't help anyone.
It rocks the boat a million times more to wait for it to explode than if you gently nudge the boat when it's actually happening.
Right. And then just accept whatever the situation is going to be. Because that's the hardest thing, I think, as a man, is just to be that, right? It's a level of assertiveness that even me, like I've got a lot of things figured out, but it's still hard sometimes to overcome that boy tendency that we have in us as a man, and be like, no, I need to be assertive in these situations and say the thing. I can do it kindly.
Right. Well, that's the key. You need to do it kindly.
Right. But
and women need to as well. Yeah. Like when they bring stuff up, like, cause we're a team.
Right.
Like, I want you to tell me in the moment when something's bothering you or upsetting you.
Right.
What I don't want is it to be like you against me.
Right.
Or, you wait forever and then you blow up on me, and you don't want to blow up on me.
Right.
But you've shoved it down. Because a lot of men do that. A lot of men are like you. They're like, I don't want to rock the boat. Then they blow the boat.
Exactly. Yeah.
They sink the boat.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, what did I do wrong? It's like, you didn't say something when it was a minuscule little thing.
Right.
And now you exploded the boat.
Or they take on the thing. They try to take on their responsibility. Like, I had to catch myself. It's like, no, this is not my fault. Like, you can't blame me on this thing. Like, you own this. This is your responsibility. And like, if you don't want to fix what is your responsibility, I'm not going to take it and say like, that I can fix these things anymore. You have to do that. And if it's not, then you have your consequences. And but that's it. You have to do that as a man.
Yeah.
Because you could pull people, when someone blames you for something, you could be like, oh yeah, well, I can handle that. Like, and you could take the blame, and you can, and you can adjust the situation so that they don't have to suffer that consequence. But sometimes it's harder, but you have to say, no, this is actually on you, and you have to fix that.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with that.
It was just a really complicated situation as well, too. It's something that we've struggled with from pretty early on in a way. And so it was really confusing, but it was good to talk about because I do think there was finally clarity there.
Yeah, but ultimately, it was my fault. So ultimately, I have to acknowledge as a man that I should have.
Well, it wasn't
I should have
entirely your
known
fault,
things,
but according to this podcast, it was.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit here and act like I wasn't defensive and I didn't,
No.
I didn't understand, and I could have asked questions. Again, I don't know if that would have gotten me there, because again, it's kind of like all personal development or all sort of things in life.
Yeah.
They have to switch within the person.
Yeah.
And no matter what you say, even if you spell it out perfectly, sometimes that's not the light switch moment, but I'm just glad that I did figure it out.
Right.
Because it also was attached to myself as well, too, in a way that I didn't understand until we talked about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was just a good thing all around. We did stay up until 3 a.m., but it was a necessary thing, which all things are necessary, which again, it goes back like,
you got to grow and
talk
learn.
For hours, you have to figure it up and figure it out. And even if you blow up the boat,
right,
you can rebuild the boat, and you should rebuild the boat.
Yeah, exactly. But those are it's the path that you have to take in order to get to the destination. Because even as a man, if you're like, okay, I'm responsible for everything is my fault as a man. Yes. But that's the mindset you have to have. It doesn't mean that your wife isn't going to make mistakes, but you still have that mindset. But those mistakes are inevitable because those mistakes are actually part of the growth that is required. Just like as a man, you have to make mistakes and grow from those things. But I just, like I said, internalize as a man, I still have to take responsibility and say, okay, well, you're my wife. So if there's something that you're missing or you're not doing, I'm responsible because I haven't helped you. So anyway, that's how I look at it. But
this whole thing probably sounds so complicated. But really, men, you should talk about the things when they happen.
Yeah.
It's scary, but again, it will harbor connection rather than disconnection, because you were really disconnected from me in a way for a really long time, because this was, even if it was subconscious,
right. Yeah.
It was in there.
Right.
So you got to think of it that way too. And that we're a team. Like, I want to work together. I want our relationship to be the best it can be.
Right.
So like, you don't have to be afraid.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode. We're we're like, this one's going to be a short one, but it's a longer one. So follow us at, or send us an email if you want some help.
Some advice.
Or you got a good episode idea at Better Than Perfect
podcast
at gmail.com. And the website is betterthanperfectpod.com.
Yes.
So
and
if you want to
follow us on social media, leave us a review. Banana Finger's still the last one. We haven't checked in a while.
I know, I haven't checked in a while because I don't care. It doesn't matter. We're gonna be here anyway. So we're getting close to the 100 episodes. So
100.
I know. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Through every fault we